Hello, my name is Jacinta Linden. I'm Chief Executive of Bolster Community, a practical family support charity and social enterprise in Northern Ireland. COVID-19 has been tough on all of our society, but the third sector in particular saw income drain away overnight. Many of our charities stood up and played their part, and yet regretfully there were no rescue options put in place by our Chancellor in the recent budget announcements. Without resourcing, health inequalities will continue to put our people, our sector and our services at risk. This morning I attended a think tank from the third sector in Northern Ireland looking about recovery, and we heard the Chief Economist from the Bank of England talk about a K-style recovery. A K as in the letter K, with one strand for those who managed to get by through COVID and create some wealth, who made profits, who made multiple deposits in banks. Those people post-pandemic, their aspirations will soar. They will be on the north-facing part of the K, whilst those who many of us deal with day to day, who were already struggling before the pandemic, we will see their likelihood of success go south. And the K-style recovery, which looks possible, some will benefit, and there's always those that benefit from adversity, others will be doubly disadvantaged. We all know cash is king, and Johnny Cash, a big hero of mine, we can't do much without money and resourcing to get by. Today I'd like to talk to you about a different kind of strategy, not the K-style recovery, but a triple P recovery. During the lockdown, we saw how quickly organisations regionally and locally came together to support community-oriented interventions. We worked hard to get services and support and resources to those in our community who needed it most, particularly those facing COVID and other health hazards. In thinking about how our organisation, Bolster Community, reacted to COVID-19, I go back to what I call a dark day, the day the lights went out for us. I remember getting a round-robin email with about 150 respondents on it, and I replied to the email to find that I got about 90 out-of-office replies. I was horrified that so many people had left the stage at a time whenever we knew we had to stand up and be counted. So our team got together and we looked inwards to see what priorities needed evaluated. We pulled resources, we got online as quickly as possible. We asked what else needed to be done of ourselves and other partners. We looked out, we looked to see where the gaps in services were, and we transformed how, where and when we worked. We changed our working patterns, we worked over extended days over the weekend, and we started earlier and finished later. But as well as looking at the short term, we kept an eye to the long term, and we realised very quickly that looking forward would lead to recovery quicker. And so as we dealt with COVID and a different way of working, we also rebranded our organisation. We renegotiated our commercial lease off the high street, and we commissioned a refurbishment of an old derelict neighbourhood supermarket within a very large housing estate in Northern Ireland, which we move to next week. We learnt what worked best for communities and individuals was that hyper-local experience, that trust with and between individuals, organisations and community. We managed risk-taking on all sides. There was a sense between us and our funders of jumping together. We understood that not everyone needs a food parcel, and whilst food banks played a really important role in supporting people through COVID, not everyone needed a food box. We agreed that there may be some slips and trips before we got out of the pandemic, but with trust and understanding, we all gave our best shot. Our focus for success through COVID was to keep a very firm eye on the triple bottom line. That triple bottom line for us was the 3 Ps of people, place and pound. In the beginning, we needed to support and walk alongside the children and families and older people we supported. The next stage came about encouraging and supporting and enabling. And looking to the future, our role will be to help people recover, renew, build resilience and cope in the longer term. For our people internally and externally in our organisation, mental health and well-being will be key to recovery. We also need very much to look after the welfare of our own staff who've given absolutely everything to getting through COVID-19. We need a support around core costs to ensure we don't lose good skills and key people. And we need to pause and take time to recover. The second part of our strategy was to focus on place-based solutions. As doors closed to us in relation to summer scheme activity and finding places where children could gather, we realised we couldn't use public facilities such as leisure centres and council-owned properties. And so we got creative and we ran wild and woolly summer schemes on our local castle estates, harnessing, pardon the pun, the equestrian centre in the process, and the kids had a wild and woolly fun adventure. We've all had to redefine, think clearly and long about where we live. And in doing that, we need to protect and promote our environment, but we also need to value the local services and the local support provided by the third sector, and to value that service equally to regional and national initiatives. So the third element of our Triple P strategy is the focus on the pound. We know that the next 24 months are going to be key as the third sector tries to recover from the impact of COVID-19. We know also that we desperately need investment in core costs. First of all, to hold on to the good staff we've got, but also to create a pathway and a conduit for new staff to come up and take over the leadership. The sector needs to get really up close with our decision makers, not just our policy makers. We need government to support and value the input of our sector. It turns out, who would have guessed, that resilience and sustainability are very much good economics. They're good for people, they're good for the environment, and they're good for business. So we need space to pause, reflect and restart. But for us it would be people, place and pound the whole way. So what's next? What's next for us is a focus on that triple bottom line of people, place and pound. We don't really want to see that K-style recovery. We want to create opportunities to nurture and rebuild each other and our communities. We need to focus on finding strengths within ourselves, within our organisations and within our communities. We also need to have fun. We need to let off a bit of steam, and we need to encourage creativity and innovation for a full recovery plan. We need to build an understanding of and investment in the third sector.